Boris Johnson is finally stepping down as Prime Minister. Eventually, after some weird resignations, let's talk about it. The UK is having a wild week, including the heat. I want to die. Hi, by the way, if you're new here, my name is Evan Edinger, and I'm a British-American man who likes making videos on British-American topics. But you might call me an American Brit. I don't really care. It rolls off the tongue better to say British-American. Anywho, so the other day I made a video about how money corrupts basically every branch of the US government, and I got a few comments saying, Evan, why don't you talk about what's going on in the UK right now? And most of the time, by the way, when I make a video about the US, it's because I have such experience with the US and because of the years and years of brainwashing and US history education and knowing the ins and outs of the US government and staying still really clued into how everything is operating and filibustering and all that stuff. So I really have a full-formed opinion on most of everything that's going on in the US. Whereas when it comes to the UK, even though I've lived here for 10 years, there's still things that come out of the woodworks that I'm like, wait, what? How is he able to do that? It's almost like me watching a soccer game and being like, wait, what? How is that allowed to happen? Oh, you see, the corner kick was because he was offsides at a potential, I have no idea. And so I'm still surprised with things. And I'd rather not be that type of person that shouts a not fully formed opinion on a YouTube channel. You know, that's why I'm gonna preface this by saying, as much as I do think I know a lot about the UK government, there are still a lot of things that I don't. So, you know, just throwing that out there. I'm not as well educated on this specific topic. Case in point, a couple weeks ago, there was a vote of confidence in the Prime Minister in Parliament where all the members of Parliament basically had to decide, do they have enough confidence in the current Prime Minister, Boris Johnson? And he ended up winning a majority of the confidence votes. And I texted my girlfriend, I was like, oh man, looks like we're stuck with Boris Johnson for a little bit longer. And she said, oh, no, he's definitely on his way out now. And I was like, I don't know if you saw the news, but he won the vote. He got a majority. And she was like, it was a really small majority though. One of the smallest I've seen, and writing's on the wall at this point. He'll be out in a couple weeks. And I was like, no, I don't think you understand. He won the vote. He got the majority. If this was the US, it's like, you get the majority, you win, that's it. You know, case in point, binary, boom, boom, boom. However, she was like, all right, just you wait. I guess that's what I get for dating a solicitor who knows lots of stuff that I don't about the way this country operates. But sure enough, 2 weeks later, well, he's sending his resignation. That's it. Boris is out. How did this all happen? What do you mean small majority? What? So basically, even though Boris did have the majority of people, even in his own party though, it was such a small majority that had confidence in him that signified it wasn't that big a majority, and every one of the Tories eventually backed down and stopped supporting him. Now here's the important thing that I do think I have a well-formed opinion on about what is going on in Parliament right now and what I think of basically Boris leaving and what is going to be happening in the future. So this might come as a surprise to you, so listen to my full thing before you comment, but I don't think Boris Johnson represents the Tory party. I don't find that all of his horrible decisions, calling Muslim women letterboxes, calling black people pickaninnies with watermelon smiles, you know, making fun of gay people, all of these horrible things that he has said and done and all of his numerous lies, I do not think that defines the Tory party. That's just one guy. However, what I do find defines the Tory party is that, meanwhile, while he was in the middle of doing and saying all these horrible things, each member of the Tory party fully supported him. That decision, I believe, defines the Tory party. So this is the interesting thing here. This is a man who shouldn't have surprised anyone with his most recent lie that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He was Boris being Boris. And in fact, it is very strange to me, and I would refer to most Tory members of Parliament as something I'd like to call omnivertebrates. People who surprisingly have backbones whenever they choose to. So for the last many years of Boris being the Prime Minister, people have just been like, oh yes, Boris, that's fine, lie. Oh, the Prime Minister didn't actually mean that. Cool, you know what? That's the way you're gonna do it, fine. But then, at the last second, after all of these lies, after everything that he's done, after literally being one of the only prime ministers who's ever committed an actual crime, he broke his own law with Partygate, which you might say, it's a bit of a nothing burger. No, it only is because of the person that has been prime minister who has brought the level of prestige that role is supposed to have so low to the ground that we don't expect anything different anymore. But the fact that through all these things, you got Rishi, you got all the other members of Parliament that are fully supporting him on the Tory side, and then this tiny little lie in which one of the people that is on the Tory party, very high up, ended up assaulting a woman. And what does Boris do about it? Does he admonish him publicly, privately? He gives him a promotion, brings him up higher in the cabinet. That's perfect. And then when people call him out on it, he actually lies about it. He didn't know about the assault. He then tries to get other people to lie about it, but that was it. That final tiny lie, after everything else, that was the one where all the other members of parliament that are Tories, they started resigning, saying, this is the point, guys. I can't go back. I found it. There's this spine here. And in my opinion, it would have been more moral, in my opinion. Not moral necessarily, but I would have respected the Tories a tiny bit more had they just stuck by their man, because at least then they would have had one positive attribute. Loyalty. Now, you are meant to be more loyal to the government, to the country you're supposed to be supporting, to the people, the constituents, than to a party leader, I would definitely argue. But they haven't been. The fact that they've been promoting this crazed madman liar the entire time. And so at least I could say, well, they're loyal to their guy. But no, at the very last second, they stab him in the back. Finally. But the fact that they're doing it as a weird way of trying to be like, guys, I was one of the first ones, literally 2 days ago, to say that I don't support the prime minister anymore. I should be prime minister. It's just so transparent and disgusting to be like, oh, everything else that he's done, I was totally on board. But now, guys, I just want you to know, he's not good. Actually, it's almost like they think they're coming up with this marvelous idea that no one's ever thought of before. Boris Johnson's a lying, terrible person who how many children does he have? Isn't it a weird joke that we genuinely don't know how many different children of different mothers, because every woman he's been with, he's cheated on and lied about it until it came out that, oh, there's a child with this other woman. Well, now I'm leaving you to go with this person. How many times is that? I don't know. And the weird thing is that shouldn't really be as big of a deal, at least if his politics was sound, which it's not. But the thing is, Boris has a cult of personality. There are a lot of people who really religiously support the guy, almost like Trump in the States. And it's weird to me because regardless of, if you're a Tory voter and you align with their manifesto and certain policies, and let's just say you think Labour spends too much and is too woke or whatever it is, don't you think you could have found a better representative of the Tory party and what you want than him? It just feels like, why is it this guy? If you really want to support those things, there are loads of Tory members of parliament, I was gonna say that haven't lied and cheated, but the fact that they stood by him this whole time just really, in my opinion, brings down the respect for the entire party lower than I really thought possible. It's just fascinating that this one man has never gone through a single ounce of character development. He is and always has been a horrible liar, cheat, and just overall terrible human being. And I'm really not the type of person that goes into the lack of nuance, but the man has shown his character continuously over and over and over. And therefore, at this point, especially at his age, he has defined his character as his actions. And the fact that the man can never say sorry ever when he says anything of his atrocious things. He never even said the word resign in his resignation speech, which is such a joke. He's so, But either way, now all the Tories are coming out of the woodworks and being like, guys, I never supported him, actually. You should vote for me for prime minister. And people have been asking me, what do I think's happening? Who's gonna be the next prime minister? And you know what? I want to be wrong. I really, really want to be wrong. Priti Patel. You know what? It's because, listen, when I moved here, I didn't know basically any politicians in the UK. I'm trying to think of one. I think I knew of Tony Blair, who is now an ex-prime minister from years and years ago. But I did know one. And you know who that was? Theresa May. Why? As an immigrant, you gotta know the Home Office secretary. She's the one that was making so many laws to just absolutely screw around every single immigrant. I hated her. I was like, oh my God, why? She's so horrible. And then she became prime minister, and I was like, no, of all the members of parliament, that's the only one I know, and I hate her. And you know what? She did it for the country I love. However, Priti Patel was like, oh, you think Teresa's bad? Ho, 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 ho. She's over here running through fields of wheat. I'm running through fields of migrants with 2 swords. She is arguably so much worse, so much more xenophobic, racist. It's horrible. And therefore, I think that no one better to represent the Tories. It's just how it's gonna be. Like I said, I'd really love to be proven wrong, but I don't think I will be. Now, in terms of being like, well, Evan, you were so negative against the blue and the red in your American video. Yeah, and you know what? Just to put it out there, because anytime I have an opinion saying like Tories are bad, random people go like, you haven't lived under a Labour government. They're all the same. And I'm like, let's be honest, I haven't. I moved here, and for as long as I've lived in the UK, it has been a conservative majority or a coalition. And so no, you know what? From personal experience, I've not had the experience of a Labour government. And from what I've seen, I don't really like a lot of what Labour has to stand for. They're not really the greatest. I mean, Lib Dem / Green seems a bit better, and I like the idea of there being more than just two parties. That being said, as much as I would like to support Lib Dems, I know what they did with the coalition with the Conservatives, where they basically screwed over all students, and that still has left a really bad taste in my mouth, so there's stuff like that. But also, just because you're pointing out flaws in a party doesn't mean you're immediately on the other side of the one other party. Let's not do that. In the UK, there are multiple parties, and they do have a viable chance in Brighton. SNP doing really well up in Scotland. You got Plaid Cymru. Please, Kim, don't kill me. I hope I pronounced that right. And as much as I'd like to say, in the next election, we're not going to see a Conservative majority, I don't know. I really don't know. It depends on what the Conservatives can do, who they come up with for Prime Minister, if they end up being a visibly good leader. Because I think most British people who just eat up that Murdoch media saying, look at this family man, he was ousted horribly from the anti-Brexit people, the Remainers did this to Boris, and oh, look at this Labour leader eating a sandwich, don't vote for that guy, how silly. I think a lot of British people still are just gonna eat up that Murdoch media and go, yep, I'm voting for Boris or whoever the next Conservative Party leader is, I don't care. You know, that's just the way it is. So we'll have to see how strong we can get behind whoever the not conservative leader is. And I'm saying not conservative because, like I said, Labour, we'll see what they do. I personally liked Corbyn, but he had so many things that were too easy to just, you know, complain about, especially if you're on the Murdoch media. It was basically like Hillary in a way, where we're like, But hey, like I said in the beginning of this video, I am just an American British person who has learned about all of this stuff in the last 10 years, and many of you will genuinely be more informed than me on this topic. And so I invite you to leave a comment. I got a lot of comments on the previous one, which I really respect just how thoughtful you guys are about, like, you know, you have good grammar, you're putting out the points, and thank you for, first of all, that's a bit of an aside, being such a great community to me. I really appreciate it. The fact that we can have these intellectual discussions without like name calling and finger pointing, and educate me. Let's talk about what your thoughts are on what's going to happen in the UK, who you think Prime Minister is going to be. Do you think we're going to swing back into a more liberal, or are we going to stay in the Conservatives in the UK? What are your thoughts? And in terms of, Evan, what are you doing uploading? It's not a Sunday. Well, I'm trying to do this new thing recently. Tell me what your thoughts are, in which I'm a bit more reactive. It's not quite as flashy with graphics and whatnot, but I want to possibly make more videos on recent happenings, and I enjoy it. Seems like you guys do too. So looking to do maybe 2 videos a week coming up. Now I have actually made a video in which I tricked the UK government into denying a petition they wrote themselves to the Parliament. So if you want to watch that video, you can watch that right here. Otherwise, I'll see you on Sunday. Thanks again for stopping by. See you then. How many times do I nod? Bye.